Okay, so this is a video I've wanted to do for a little while now, and basically, I'm going to be looking at some of the modifications that I made to my Harbor Freight 20-ton press. I got this thing, I think it was on a Christmas sale, so I think right now it retails for about $200 or so. I think I paid around $135 with the sale plus a coupon, I don't remember. But anyway, we're going to start from the bottom and kind of work our way to the top here. So, first and foremost is, I firmly believe that any tool you own on a stand should have caster wheels. Actually, still have the sticker on these things. These are the ones I got. And I basically just drilled the appropriate sized hole, put a washer and a nut, and you're good to go. These have the brakes on them, so if I need to lock it down and keep it stable when I'm pressing out a barrel or barrel pin, you know, this thing, it's not going to move. So you don't have to worry about stability. Working our way up, one of the biggest problems with this thing, I mean, all Harbor Freight presses in general, basically, is that it has these two loose wings that generally jut out like this, and it's just welded plate bent over, and it tends to wobble and wiggle around. It has forwards and backwards moving, and the spacing in between here of the apron itself is also super loose, so I actually consider it a safety problem. So what I did to rectify that was I chopped those ears off with an angle grinder and flattened down these two dog ears, right, or these, not dog ears, but these plates right here where they welded it on. And I took a piece of I think it was 3/16, and I had some friends of mine who were TIG welders. I had them kind of weld this on. I'd take this off, but I really don't want to deal with putting it back on. You can kind of see where I welded it, or where my friends welded it there. Just TIG welded along the side here to reinforce it. And what this did was this eliminated majority of the gap that was occurring. And it eliminated the sway that was moving side to side. So the next thing I did, because we didn't have the ears on this thing anymore, you had to find a way to keep this thing from wobbling sideways as well. So when I cut off the ears, I think this is 1/8 inch plate, drilled, I think these are 3/8 bolts. Yeah, drilled the holes through the apron, bolted it down, put the washers on, and I got as tight as I could. And now this thing doesn't even move anymore. I mean, stepping on it, there's barely any sway. There's a little bit. You may find that you'll have to grind the sides down here if you do this. It's not a big deal. I threw it on the belt sander over here and just kept going at it until it fit. So you just gotta keep going at it until it fits. It really is no other way around it. What I ended up doing though was I put silicone grease. You can kind of see the remnants of it under here, but just do that and you run the press a couple times. It'll break in like anything else. There's definitely room for improvement here. Like I just kind of used what I had on hand. I didn't buy any of this specifically for it. The bolts I just had laying around. I can cut these short if I really wanted to. But I tend to emphasize function over function over the aesthetics. So it's ugly, but it works. I mean, this thing moves barrels and barrel pins like it's nothing. And that's simply because it's stable. So really, if you only had to do one thing to this press, it would be making sure this apron is steady. Because if it's not, it's moving anywhere. I mean, you're gonna have the parts move everywhere. You're just gonna have a bitch of a time trying to keep this thing stable. And again, like I said, I personally think it's a safety hazard. So when you buy, this is item number 32879. If you buy these things, just kind of consider it like a parts kit. Don't consider it like a tool that's going to immediately work out of the box. For anyone that's concerned about the original arbor plates here, I think that at one point they used to cast these things, and then they'd reach a certain pressure from the force of the press, and they would shatter violently. But this isn't the case. These things are just fine. They're flame cut machine steel. The only thing I didn't do that I need to do, but I don't have a welder, is weld a piece of plate along the top here. This isn't actually I-beam. It's just, I don't even remember what the thickness is of this, but it's basically extremely heavy gauge sheet metal that's pressed and folded over, and welded. This is not I-beam. I've seen some pictures on the internet where, on certain, maybe, I don't know if they got defective item or what, but this centerpiece, because of the force of the press, it's actually bent this upward, and it's distorted this whole midsection. And that's partially because you have a big ass gap right here. It's a weak point, plain and simple. It's two separate pieces on the top here, not joined together, and they're relying on the strength of these welds to keep you safe, basically. So, I think if I weld a piece of plate, heavy gauge plate, or I've seen people do railroad ties. I think it'll be that much more stable. It'll put weight on this, but that's why we have caster wheels. That's generally about all I've done. I threw out the old, I don't know what you call it, the original lever tool, and I just took a piece of scrap steel, put a rubber gasket on here, so that way I can push this in all the way through the bottle jack. It stops here, and I can just push on this and crank away at it. And I cut, the two grooves here for the release valve. I can't do this one-handed. That's all. This isn't perfect. I'm gonna toss this at some point. What I want to do is actually install a valve here with this thread pitch, and that way I can loosen the bottle jack up by hand instead of using this stupid tool. I hate this thing. The bottle jack, if you can replace it, just do it. This thing's kind of shitty. It's worked for me and for someone who's on a budget. Like, I don't have the cash to really throw it at a bottle jack right now. But if I could do it over, I would, or not do it over, but if I'm going to upgrade this in the future, I'm going to swap this out for an air-powered one, because I got a massive ass compressor over there, 60-gallon compressor, 240 volt. There's no reason not to get a pneumatic bottle jack. As far as that's pretty much it. I've been making some tools for this thing. I wanted a punch holder. I didn't really see one available on the market, so I took a piece of 1/2 inch. The ram itself is a 1/2 inch diameter. I don't know if that's true for the 12 ton, but for the 20 ton at least, it's a 1/2 inch diameter. And it fits perfectly. This is just I don't remember. I think this is stainless steel butt weld cap. Pipe welders use it basically for closing off gas pipes, I suppose. But I drilled a hole dead center and took another 3/8 bolt and basically whittled down the end to the size I needed to press out what I think this is the one I use for barrel pins, and it fits perfectly. But most importantly, it stays true, not just because of the modifications here on the side of the apron, but also, when the ram itself is pressing against this bolt head. There's a little bit of play, but when it comes down to it, it's actually pressing against the workpiece. This thing is tried and true. There's nowhere for it to really physically move and wobble around. You could probably get away with using black iron cap. I wasn't sure. I just used, this was, it's not like this was much more expensive, so I just went with the best and kind of played around with it. You can either make one of these caps or, you could make one of these holders, I guess, and then make multiple punches of different sizes, depending on the size hole that you choose. If you use whether you use a 1/2 inch or a 3/8, it just depends on what you want. But you could easily do a set of these things. And, if you need to press out small pins, for AK related barrel pins and those types, I mean, they generally have a tight fit anyway, so you're probably gonna need one of these. I just find it easier than trying to hold a damn punch in my hand. I got my hand under this thing, and yeah, makes me nervous. Potential upgrades. I think that's about as far as I'm gonna go as upgrading this thing. So not much left. Once I get a welder, like I said, I'm gonna reinforce this top part. I ordered the what was it? The Northern Tool ST201i DV. It's a TIG and stick welder, dual voltage, 240 volt, but it has a lot of the TIG accessories. So that's on back order. So once I get it, we'll really make some progress, because I have a bunch of milled gun kits that I can't do right now because I don't have a welder. Speaking of kits, hold on. I take a sip of coffee. The Hungarian's going pretty well. It's, I need to either build or borrow a dimpling tool for the long rivet jig. Not a dimpling tool. That'd be helpful, but basically a long rivet jig and a trigger guard rivet jig. I could probably make one of those. I got something in here I could probably use. But aside from that, I haven't shown a video on it, but I got 2 FALs I'm working on right now. I got the tools and the headspace cages, but I got to get, again, it's a matter of getting the tools for it. I got to get the barrel wrench and the receiver wrench and the barrel vise. Take another sip of coffee. So I got a machinist friend that's going to loan me those. I can't really justify the cost of those tools right now unless I did a 3rd FAL, which, as much as I'd like to do, I'm saving up for some other kits. At the moment, money's running a bit tight, and I don't have the time, really. Oh, on another note, I fixed my Rivet Jaws. Yeah, I ended up taking way too much material off on the old ones because I wasn't paying attention. It's typically what happens. You don't pay attention in the shop, bad things happen. I bought a large set of these Tecton Jaws here. And, I mean, it was a pack of, I think it was a pack of 4 for $15 on eBay. So I'll make another set, send one to the Guild tool loaner program, because why not? And then maybe sell the other set. I don't know. Gonna work on this Type A FAL Israeli bayonet. You don't see these every day. I somehow managed. I found this thing on eBay from a seller in Israel. Guy lived in Netanya, and he had this thing for sale, and I just jumped on that. He wanted $150 for it, if I remember correctly. I offered him $85, so plus shipping it was like $95. And man, I'm glad I jumped on it. I mean, it needs work. The button's frozen, and the blue. It's rough. Let's see if I can get this out with one hand. Oh, come on now. Now I know how most people feel when they try to do this one-handed shit. Hold on, guys. Set you down real quick. Here we go. So, not in the best condition, but it's workable. And it fits my DSA barrel. And it does fit the lug, the original lug. I have the grenade launcher with it too, so good stuff. But yep, that's basically the press, the stuff I did to it, and upcoming projects. I will try to be more frequent about my videos. I work corporate IT, and I don't have the time these days right now, so but hopefully I will. All right, until next time.